Hi guys. So this video was requested by one of my viewers. Somebody requested a video just on how to do the stitches. So this first one is called a whip stitch. So I like to call this kind of an invisible kind of stitch because this stitch is just making the tiniest little stitches, trying to make them as invisible as possible. And it is probably one of the most simple stitches you can possibly do. So you're just kind of making a loop around the material, just trying to make the stitches very small and tight. And usually when I'm doing this kind of stitch, the thread I'm going to use is usually something as close to the color of the fabric as possible. For this tutorial, I'm just using some black thread because I thought that would show up the best on camera, just so you guys can really see the stitches and what they look like. And if you make a mistake, or if the thread isn't as tight as it could be, just go ahead and stop and just kind of tighten up the thread as best you can. And the thread will usually get a little bit twisted while you're doing these stitches. So if that happens, just kind of put your needle down and just smooth out the thread, and that usually straightens it out. So this next stitch I'm going to show you guys is a back stitch. So this is a straight stitch that also has a back stitch just for a little extra security. I'm really fond of this type of straight stitch because you kind of use your needle to make it as straight as possible. So you'll do a couple of stitches just doing a straight stitch, and then you'll go over the last stitch just with one extra stitch. So that keeps the stitching in place, so it's not gonna move around on you. And I just love how you can use the needle just to create a very straight stitch. So you don't have to keep measuring to make sure you've got a straight stitch. So definitely use your needle, and it'll help you straighten out your stitches. And it, when you're first starting out, it may not seem really straight, but with practice, it does create a very straight stitch. And feel free just to go as slow as you need to when you're doing these stitches and you're just a beginner and just starting out. Your hands are still learning how to do these stitches. So with time, you're going to get a lot faster. But when you're just starting out, just kind of take yourself off the hook. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be fast. So go as slow as you need to when you're first starting out. Okay, and so the last stitch I'm going to show you guys is actually an overlock stitch. This stitch I use a lot when I'm dealing with a fabric that frays a lot. You'll know as soon as you've got a fabric that frays. You cut your fabric, and then you go back and touch your fabric an hour later, and you can already see it starting to fray. Usually that isn't really a case with cotton, but if you're working with a rayon or a silk, you're gonna notice that the material frays really easily, and so an overlock stitch is really gonna help. So what you're doing is just making one kind of whip stitch, and then you're kind of using the loop to push your needle through the loop. And when you're starting out, go really slow. As you get in the habit of it, and your hands kind of learn the motion of what you're trying to do, you can start to go faster. But feel free just to go as slow as you need to, and your thread is going to twist, so just put your needle down and smooth out the thread when that happens. As you get better and your hands learn how to do it, you're going to want to create as small as stitches as possible. But for this tutorial, I'm not doing terribly small stitches because I wanted you guys to be able to see the stitches and what they what they look like. If I was actually doing this on a project, I'd probably make the stitches about twice as narrow, you know, because you want as much of your thread to help with the fabric and prevent fraying. And you can even see on this cotton material it's starting to fray and come apart. So fraying can happen on just about any kind of material. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this tutorial was helpful, and please like and subscribe, and I hope you have a great day.